Thank you very much, sir. I don't know if I'm the only one that is here, but my books are also filled. Thank you so much, sir. A lot of things he mentioned, and a lot of things stood out for me. I will just say one or two things. The GSOT, you know, the goal, the strategy, the objective, the tactics. It's not just enough for us to write it down. We must be able to break them down into steps. And then he mentioned the fact that what was your source for these goals that we are even talking about? Is it others? Is it you? Is it God? And I noted here, the source of your goal will affect your ability to achieve those goals. We're looking at setting goals, we're looking at achieving it. We're saying that he said the source of those goals will actually affect, you know, our ability to achieve it. And I remember when Bayo was talking, he said, after all these goals are set, it takes you to God in prayers. So we can see that we can not really achieve all our goals if we don't, you know, if we don't reckon with the place of faith and the spiritual, which he mentioned. And of course, it's not just placing everything on God. We also have to do a lot in terms of persistence, in terms of discipline, in terms of hard work. You know, a lot of things stood out. You know, Bayo talked about goal setting is hard work. Here again, we are hearing that achieving these goals also is hard work. I want to say a very big thank you to Pastor Muyiwa Bambushe. It's a very good opportunity to sit down and hear and listen to you, sir. Thank you so much. And then I want to also, on behalf of everybody, say a very big thank you to Bayo as well, and to everybody. It's time for questions, and I want to believe that we have our questions. Even though I've not seen any question box, all I've been seeing is, are we going to get the slides? Yes, you're going to get the slides. The presentation will also be made available. However, I would want to encourage us, you know, we have time. Let's come up with our questions so that we can actually, you know, come back and say we made the best of this, this time. So do we have questions? Or do we have people that would want to ask their questions without necessarily putting it in the chat box? So I want to ask my question myself. You can just raise up your hand so that we'll call you. We have some time to discuss this, to hear us out. Sorry, can people hear me?
Yes,
I need to be sure. Okay. I've not seen any.
Yes, we are hearing you. We are hearing you.
Because I've not seen any question, and nobody is, you know, raising their hands to ask questions.
My question is, if at the end of the year, if you don't achieve your goal, your set goal, maybe one or two, what happens? What do you do? Most times we look at ourselves, we feel discouraged that I couldn't do this. So, but now from this webinar, what do we do if you don't achieve your set goal at the end of the year?
Okay, do you have somebody in particular that you want to ask that question, or any of the speakers can answer?
Any of them.
Dr. Lola, I'm sorry to interrupt, but can the person type out so that we can get the question very clearly?
Okay.
Because network might make the voice sound, not be muffled. So if the person can type out in the chat box, it's quite better.
Okay. Please, can you type out in the chat box? However, I heard a little of the question. The question is, if at the end of the year, I do not achieve all my goals, what should I do, or what advice is given based on what we have learned, and I've set all the goals and I don't achieve all? So, Bayo, can you help us with that? Or Pastor Bangoshe wants to help us with that?
Okay, very easy. If you don't achieve the goals, you know you have not achieved the goals. Okay, and you need to first recheck, was it the right goal? If there was no problem, then you need to re-strategize. You need to replan. Why did you fail? Okay, you must understand why. If you don't understand why, you could still have a repeat. Okay, so for me, if you didn't achieve a goal in a year, Brother Bayo gave an example of what he planned for a particular year, but they achieved it some years later on. You see, why does Habakkuk say, write that he may run that reads it? It means that it may not be for now. It says, wait for it, though it tarry. All right. You know, we are the ones that are setting certain goals. If we didn't get clear from God. And let me say this, I say this with a lot of respect. When people say, God told me, I'm a bit cautious. I'm a bit concerned. You know, we can make mistakes. A dream can come from a multitude of business. Okay, so it could be a desire that I want to do this thing in that year. But is it the best time? Is it the best year? There are things that one, with benefit of hindsight, you say, thank God I didn't do this thing. Some people wanted to do a project in 2020. Let's be specific. And when COVID came in, they said, thank God I didn't start. All right. See, because God makes all things to work together for good. So if you didn't start, go and check. Go and find out. Was it my goal? Was it for my flesh? Was it even from somebody? Was it from the devil? All right. Then, if it was from God or from me, did I do what I should do? Nigerians like magic. They want God to do what they should do for themselves. Okay. So if you were the one that fell short of what you were supposed to do, admit it and be ready to make amends, because otherwise you have a repeat failure. So a goal is a direction. Okay. As a matter of fact, I tell people achievement is not a destination, it's a journey. Achievement is not a destination, it is a journey. As long as you move from where you were and you are moving towards where you said you want to go, that is achievement. Okay. Timing may be wrong, but the direction is certain. So that's what I can say. Check yourself. Check the source of the goal. Have you done the right things? Have you done the wrong thing? And then is there something God is trying to get across to you, so that then you can get on the better track? That's what I believe I can suggest to this person.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I have some questions here. The first one I have here is, how do I gain clarity when trying to write down my goals? Or, okay, I'm trying to personalize it, even though the person say, how do you gain? You know, so how does one gain clarity when trying to write down goals? It's not directed to anyone, so.
Okay, can I take that?
Yes, you can. Thank you so much.
It sounds like goal setting.
Okay. Now, thank you so much, Pastor Bangoshe. I was blessed by that. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It's always great listening to you, sir.
Yes,
now, how do you gain clarity? I think that is where thinking comes in. You know, the more you think through a thing, the more clarity you gain. You know, if you give yourself time, and that is why I suggest everybody must have a thinking period. A period where you can just sit, maybe in a day, maybe in a week, and think through some things. You will discover that you now gain some new insights into certain things. And then you say, oh, I can do it better this way. And then you modify what you have written down. Or you can say, no. With the benefit of experience and what I've gained over the past few days, I think I have found a better way out. So thinking gives you clarity. Don't rush when you are writing your goals. Goal setting is not one day's job. It's not a day job. It's not a day's job. It's not. Okay? Goal setting at times. What I do, for example, I wanted to set my goals for 2022. I did not start to set it on January 1. I started working on it like October. So it will give me time to refine it. It will give me time to modify it. So I have, and I've not even finished. Because over the course of the year, I'm always going back to it and modifying it because I gain new knowledge, I gain new experience, I gain new insights, and all these things bring new clarity to the process, and I keep on refining it. It is a continuous job. It is not a job you finish and then you just say, I have a finished document. Sometimes you need to go on to refine and to refine. Now, just to walk back a little bit and share a few insights on what if I write goals down and I do not meet them, or you have challenges in meeting those goals. Now, the major objective of writing a goal is not just about achieving them. It's about getting you focused. It's about getting you to know that I have 1, 2, 3 things that I would love to pursue. So it gives you focus, it gives you clarity, it gives you direction. Without goals, we will just be doing anything we like. And before we know, time has gone. For example, if you say you are going to Ibadan now from Lagos, if you don't set your compass, all right, and you just enter any car you enter will take you to anywhere, and you will not know when you get to your destination. That is just simply what goals or goal set is all about. You want to get to Ibadan, you get to Ojota car park and you enter the car going to Ibadan. You don't just jump into any car you like. And that's how a lot of people live their lives. So goal setting helps your life to be focused, to have clarity, to have direction. So it is not just about the achievements. In fact, sometimes failing about our goals makes the experience even worthwhile. You gain a lot of experience, you gain a lot of muscles, you know what not to do again. So it helps you the next time you are setting a similar goal to know, let me avoid these landmines that made me fail the other time. So it's not just about succeeding. It's not just about achieving your goals. Sometimes it's about the experience you pick along the way. Sometimes it's about the clarity it gives to your life. For example, now, if you set a goal that I want to write a book this year, it helps you to know that, look, if I say I will write a book and I will release my book by June, I cannot live my life anyhow. Maybe I have to cut some O1 that I go to so that I can focus. Maybe I need to give 2 hours to reading every day. Maybe I can focus. So that's what goals do for you. It gives you clarity, gives you focus, helps you to know the right association to go with. And so it's not necessarily about 100% achieve. Let me tell you, you will not achieve 100% of your goals. But should that make us not to write down our goals? No. Because if you don't write it down, you will not even know that you have achieved those goals when you achieve them. So writing them gives us clarity, it gives us direction, it makes us purpose-driven in life. You know that these are my dominant goals for this year. Any other thing, I am not going to be bothered about it. So it makes life fuller, it makes life more purposeful. It makes your life richer, not particularly richer about wealth, but richer in terms of content, in terms of your donation to life also. So that's what goal setting actually gives you. So sometimes we fail. I have failed in some goals before, but if I didn't have those goals, I wouldn't even get close to achieve them. Let me give you a personal example. I started my career when I was 25, and I shared this in my book, 30 Career Lessons I learned along the way. There was a particular chapter I dedicated to goal setting in that particular book. And I wrote there that when I started my career, my banking career when I was 25. And I sat down and I said, what would be my goals? Now, I have learned over time that it is not yearly goals I should have. Okay. I sat down a time and I developed 20-year development goals for my life. 10-year goals for my life. So if you are here listening to me today and you are 30 years, sit down and write your 10-year goals. Where do you see yourself when you are going to be 40? If you are 40, you can write 10-year goals. Where do you see yourself when you are going to be 50? You can write 20. So it gives you a broader perspective about how you want to spend your life. So when I was 25 and I started my banking career at 25, I sat down and I said, by 40, this is what I want to achieve. So I gave myself a 15-year goal, and I said by 40 I want to be a GM. I said that was what I wrote, and I wrote it down in a book. I said by 40 I want to be a general manager in the bank. Okay, now the question is how. The question now is how. Because the easiest thing for you to do is just to write a goal in your biro or in your pen. But how do you want to achieve it? But I sat down and I said, I want to be a GM by the time I'm 40. And then I now sat down and I started to think, how? How will I do it? Because I had started my career and that was what I wanted. So I wrote down the various different steps. Okay, from entry level, if you're a banker, you're from ET, you go to maybe assistant banking officer. From assistant banking officer, you go to banking officer. From banking officer, you go to senior banking officer to assistant manager to deputy manager to manager to senior manager. Some banks have principal manager, from senior manager to principal, from principal manager to assistant general manager, from assistant general manager to deputy general manager, from deputy general manager to general manager. So those were the steps. I wrote them out. Now, how do I achieve these steps in 15 years by the time I'm 40? And then I sat down and I discovered I cannot achieve them sitting down in one place. I cannot achieve them sitting down and waiting for promotion like a civil servant. I will not achieve it by 40. So I looked at it and I saw that you can either grow or vertically or horizontally. So I wasn't willing to wait to say, oh, okay, I will wait for promotion cycle. And the promotion cycle might not come maybe once in 4 years, maybe once in 5 years. It depends. So I looked at another option, and the other option for me was, let me take risk and see if I can add value to different financial organizations, and that will help me with my rising. It was a risk I had to take. So that informed my career move. So that was my own career goal. It involved why now I have worked for 7 financial institutions. Now, by the time in year 2010, right? By the time I became 40, was 2010? Did I say 2010? I'm mixing up my head. By the time I became 40, right? I had actually not become a general manager, but I had become a deputy general manager. Just one more grade to go. Now, just imagine if I had started my career at 25 and I didn't even have a goal. So I would have just lived my life the way I wanted to live it, and I would not be focused. I would not have a direction. I would not have something driving me. Your goals drive you. That's one good thing about goals. It drives you towards achieving a particular purpose. So when you see it, it drives you, it pushes you, it inspires you, it nudges you on. So because I had those goals, it drove me. I'll just look at it. How many years do I have left? Oh no, I'm running out of time. What do I need to do? Okay. And by the time I was 40, even though I was not a GM, I became a DGM, a deputy general manager. All right, which was just one step closer to my mark. I've decided to share this personal example so that we can see that goal setting is realistic. It's something that can be done. You can do the same thing for everything. You want to buy land. Now, maybe you want to buy land last year and COVID came and the price of real estate went up. And what you were projecting before was 1 million. But because of some disruptions, real estate went up and then it is now 1.4 million. That will bring some change to the timeline of your goal. That means you need to save an extra 400,000 naira. So it can move your goal forward by a few months or even by a year. But that doesn't mean you have failed. It just meant that you have to amend it because of the realities of the time, because of the exigencies of the moment. But your goals drive you. It gives you a drive. No man without a drive. You are not alive if you don't have a drive, if you don't have something pushing you, something driving you. And that is what goal setting is all about. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bayo. Thank you for that response. I believe that we all learned from that as well. I have another question here. How often are we going to be having this session, please? I will leave that to Bro Temidayo, but I know that last year we had 2 sessions, and also we had a physical weekend session, which I know he would talk more about when he's closing the session. So it is something that we do from time to time in New Nation Business Academy, which it would explain more. Okay, I have another question here. Okay, we've answered that. This is to Pastor Bangboshe. Please, can you re-explain tactics and resources?
Sorry, hello? Can you hear me?
Sir, please, somebody needs and resources. Hello, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Can you hear me? You can hear me?
We can,
you hear me? Okay, sorry, because I had to be somewhere very soon, so I'm out, I'm driving. Okay, so you see, tactics are short-term. Let me give a practical example. Let's say, as a company, you want to grow your sales turnover. That's an objective. You want to grow it by 5% from 10 million to 15 million in a particular year. That's your price penetration. Okay, because when you want to do growth, there are different ways of growth. There's somebody called Answer. You can study Answer. Answer says there are 4 ways you can grow a business. Either the same product in the same market, that's market penetration. The same product in another market, that's market increase or something. Then the other one is a new product in your existing market. Okay, that's diversification. And then you can take a new product to a new market. Anyway, so you don't say your strategy is you want to do market penetration. And you want to do market penetration, which means the same market where you are, you want to increase your share. That's your strategy. Now your tactic, I want to reduce the price. Okay? You say, let's reduce the price here. Let's go to both markets. Let's do promotion. Those are your tactics. They are not your strategy. Your strategy is you want to do market penetration to grow your sales. Okay, your goal, your objective is to grow your income. Are you following me? So that's the easiest way. So you want to fight, you want to use the element of surprise. That's your strategy. Your tactic, let's come from behind them. Okay, I hope with these 2 examples, I've given you an idea. So tactics are the short-term things that you do. You can change tactics as frequently as necessary, although it's good to study well so that you don't keep changing. But tactics are things you can, they don't involve capital investment. They don't involve things that tie you down. So tactics are short-term, like I said again, carefully, short-term strategies. Yeah. I hope I answered the question.
I believe so.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I want to believe so, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I have a question here. Can somebody bring forward the unachieved goals for next month? Yes, you can. From all that we have talked about, you can even bring unachieved goals for last year to another year. When Bayo was talking, he mentioned that if you plan to buy land at 1 million this year and COVID came, or you plan to go to school and then you were already budgeting that you do your convocation at the end of 2020 and COVID came, of course, everybody was locked down. So unachieved goals can be moved to the next month, can be moved to the next quarter, can even be moved to the next year, or even 2 years after. It's important that you have a drive. Okay, I have a question here. How often do we need to check and recheck the state of our set goals within a year? How often? I would want any of the speakers to answer that. Maybe Bayo, we said that before, how often do we check and recheck?
As often as you can. In fact, It has to be very, very often. It has to be very, very often as you can. Sometimes you have to check on a monthly basis by the end of the month to see how well have I done. Because, you know, like I said, your goals will be broken down into the ones you will achieve on a monthly basis. Maybe you have a timeline. I have to, for example, one of my proteges who sent me, you know, their goals, put it there that they want to register a company by the end of January. So it makes it sensible for that person to ensure that before the end of the month, okay, maybe about a week before the end of the month, you will review that goal again to see whether you have met it. So you need to check on your goals and review it on a periodic basis as often as possible. That is why you need to have it in a retrievable document, something that you can see and post it everywhere that can help you, I mean, to remind you. Pictures on your fridge, on your wall, and all that. And I'll give you a practical example also. When I was in secondary school, I read a book which has helped me, especially with the imagineering process, using my imagination, setting goals also. And I'm sure quite a few people would have read the book here. And the book is Fourth Dimension by David Yonggi Cho, who went to be with the Lord just a few months ago. That book is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. If you have not read it, I encourage you to read it. Okay, Fourth Dimension by David Yonggi Cho. And it really, really helped me to see the power of imagination when you are setting goals. So I finished from, my secondary school was Federal Government College, Itoani. And when I finished, my SSE results came out. I had 6 distinctions, 6 A's, but I had a P7 in mathematics. And because of that, it was about to frustrate my dream of studying engineering. So imagine I had 6 distinctions, A in physics, A in this and A, but then I got to maths, I had P7. So I had to resit that year's SSE, okay? And I went to one secondary school in Ibadan to go and do a receipt, Holy Trinity Grammar School in Old Ife Road. But I read that book before I did a receipt. And I started thinking about the goals I wanted to have. So I now brought out a plain sheet of paper. I wrote what I wanted. I wrote English, I want A3. Maths, I want A3. The maths where I had P7, I wrote it that I want A3. Yoruba, I wanted A1. Geography, I wanted A3. Economics, I wanted A2. I just wrote it down. Now, instead of 6 distinctions, I wrote 7 distinctions. And this 7th one was the maths where I had a P7 before. I now put it just beside my bed. Remember, I was just about a 16-year-old, 17-year-old boy at that time. All right. I put it beside my bed because I just read that book. And every morning, when I wake up, that is the first thing I see. I go through it. And I say to myself, I say mathematics A3, you know, English A3, Yoruba A1. Every morning, that's what I see. And because I see it every morning, it was my focus, it drove me to put extra attention on mathematics. It drove me to give it more focus. I read it more than any other subject. I knew that was my goal. I see it every day. It drove me. And believe me, I sat for the exam. And when it came out, I had A3 in mathematics. And I didn't cheat. I didn't copy anybody, nothing. I sat down again. Exactly the same result that I pasted beside my bed is what I had. I am mentioning specifically the name so that anybody can go and verify. It's only Trinity Grammar School. I had it for a long time. I was the one that set the record for the best result in that school. All because I used the principle of goal setting and I used the imagination that God has given all of us freely. Thank you.
Can I also quickly add in 30 seconds that, you know,
thank you very much, Bayo.
So
as often as possible.
Yeah, I was just adding that based on what was said earlier, that if the year goal, the goal for the year had been broken down into monthly goals, then if you could not meet up the monthly goal, then you are already in the know that you are failing on your yearly goal. Then it is at that point, at your January goal, that you can now say, what did I not do well that made me not to accomplish this monthly goal? And that means that I will have to carry it over, so to say, into the next month in order for me to be able to eventually achieve the annual goal at the end of the year. So if you have been breaking it down into the month, the goals into each month, then it will be easy for you to evaluate. So answering that question also, you will see that, you know, you can evaluate in the minimum 12 times, as it were, you know, if you broke it down into monthly goals, and that will help you further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, my brother. You know, even if you break down the goals into weekly, you also need to also check them weekly. Thank you so much. This question is for Pastor Bangboshe. I don't know if he's still with us, or if not.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So this question is for you. Is it wrong to set and pursue goals without having a clear-cut revelation from God about it? Without having a clear-cut revelation from God about it?
Well, I don't know what you mean by clear-cut revelation. You see, God speaks to us in different ways, like 9 ways. One is His word. Is that goal in alignment with His word, with what He has written? I mean, what He has made written for us. Then there could be supernatural ones like a dream, you know, an angel appearing to you, the Spirit of God speaking to you, okay? But there's also your human spirit. Are you feeling at ease? There's a way you will feel if you are going out of God's purpose, all right? It's like somebody says that it's like you're having your bath with your socks on. You have a sense of unease. So you know, we can check all these ways to ensure that what we are doing is not against God's plan and purpose. And then if you are lucky that there was a specific word to you that God has spoken to you, something God has asked you to do, then you better just make sure you comply. So that, you know, that's it. You know, I think that's the question. I'm careful to say things like, God told me, God told me. You know, if you are walking in line with God's word, for example, God will not ask you to do something like stealing. God will not ask you to go against the law of the land. God will not ask you to maybe cheat someone, you know. So all these are general ways of God, general things God has said to us, okay? Then beyond that, there are specific things He has given us. If we are not sure, do we feel at ease? Look, if you are at ease in your spirit, you can believe it is God. That God endorses what you're doing. I don't know whether I answered the question properly.
Yes, I want to believe so, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I want to say a very big thank you to our 2 speakers, Bayo Adeyinka and Pastor Muyiwa Bangboshe. To everyone who joined in, thank you so much. Because
hello,
if we had called this and we had no one.
Yes, sir. I don't know. There is one other question that is very, very similar to what has been answered. I don't know if we can still go ahead with it. But it's from, it says, in setting goals, how can we differentiate between God-given goals and self-motivated goals? You know, Pastor Bangboshe was stressing the fact that, you know, we need to know the source of the goal. So is it possible we can just, any of the speakers can help us to clarify this?
Okay. Maybe I can help a bit.
Yes, sir.
You see, all of us as Christians, especially born again, God has a purpose for us. Okay, He has a purpose for us. And there's a book written by Rick Warren that is titled Purpose-Driven Life that gives us a leading to our purpose in life. He says we all have a shape. S is our spiritual gifting. Your spiritual giftings are those things that will enable you to achieve your goal in life, your purpose in life. Then the H is an acrostic. H is your heart, something you're always passionate about. Look, two people can see the same situation. One of them will see a different thing from the other person. That is telling you, Jesus said, wherever your treasure is, that's where your heart is. The corollary is true. Where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. Okay? For Brother Bayo, he said, it's banking. I mean, how wouldn't there be a banker? You know, I mean, how will I be counting money for people? You know, so we are different people. Your heart is going to show you your purpose. Then your A, abilities. Some people are good with words. Some are good with figures. Some are good with structures. All right. Some are good with pictures, drawing things, you know. Some are good with music. So your abilities differentiate you. I'm saying discover your purpose. Your goal is along the journey of your purpose. I want us to know this. Goals are short-term milestones on the direction of our purpose in life. Okay? So ability. Then your P, your personality. Your personality will align with God's purpose in your life. We have an instrument we use for our students in our school in EAC. It's a psychometric analysis. If you're an extrovert, there are certain things you can't do well. If you're an introvert, there are certain things you can't do well. Then if you are thinking or factual, if you are judging or perceiving. So there are certain things, these are psychological tools, you know, which show what you are good at, what God made you for. All right. Then your E is your experience. The home you were born in was not an accident. The school you went was not an accident. The area you live is not an accident. The church you attend is not an accident. People you interact with. Look, all those people are planted. The Bible says the parts of a righteous person are ordered. Okay. But we may neglect to take note of those people. Like, see David, when he was pursuing at Ziklag, they saw somebody who was left for dead. And that was the pointer to their destiny. So in other words, you look at it. Let's not look at goals as ultimate. The goals are not ultimate. The goals are on the direction of our purpose. A Christian must desire to achieve God's purpose in his life. And there are short-term steps along the line that will be taking you towards your goal. Okay, so what I'm saying is this. How do you know whether it is you or God? It should not be about you. You see, goals at a certain level in life are things like, I want to achieve this, I want to achieve that. We need to get beyond that. Paul said that I may know him, the fellowship of his suffering, be made conformable to the image, and to, you know, so if you want to build a shop, is it to further, there must be a relationship with God's purpose. I hope that's, because I hope we leave this place changing our perception. Is not about another shed, another car, another house. You see, Abraham Maslow drew a hierarchy of needs. The lowest level of need is physiological needs, what I will eat, what I will do. Then you have the safety needs. Then you have societal needs, the need to belong, your good clothing. Then self-esteem, you know, you want people to respect you. But the utmost need is self-actualization. What do you want to leave behind? You see, if you have ever gone to burial of people, nobody's going to talk about they built this house, they built that, they got that car. They're going to say he helped in this area. He achieved this one in that place. All right. Let us begin to use our goals to write our feet in the sands of time. Thank you.